Howdy guys, welcome back. My name is Tamika Newhouse. You are tuned into season 3 of Traces of Mika. It has been quite a while since I've been able to sit down in front of you guys. COVID happened, life was happening, but this season I'm going to be joined by a lot of my friends from the industry, also fellow writers, to talk about a lot of things that have been trending and taking over social media. I am joined by my friends tonight, Miss LaQuanda,
hey,
Reese, and Miss Terry. They're going to introduce themselves, y'all, and we're going to talk about some really in-depth conversations about love, relationships, and kind of just I guess sexualizing these celebrity relationships and kind of wanting that dynamic, not really knowing what it takes to make these things work. So, Miss LaQuanda, can you tell everybody about yourself? Tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do. I know you came in from Philadelphia, so thank you so much.
I did. I had to get out because I was afraid. You know,
yeah. It's a lot going on in Philly. You know, Philly's it used to be one of my favorite, cities. When I first started traveling with my books, I would go to Philly all the time. I had a boyfriend there for like 7 years, y'all.
I'll ask you about that later. Okay. Thanks so much for the introduction and for having me. My name is LaQuanda. I'm LaQuanda McCullum, and I am a work advocate, a writer, and also a host. And I'm happy to be here today.
Okay. All right, so you going to co-host with me today?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a smidge, just a little bit?
Just a little bit,
good.
Yeah.
Just help me out, just a little bit.
Okay.
You know, I may get lost in my thoughts, you know. I was already talking about my boyfriend for 7 years. You know, I'm getting off topic. Right? So just pull me back if I need to.
Okay, I got you.
And Mr. Reese. You know, now Reese, I met you years ago. He didn't even remember me, y'all.
Oh, don't do that. That's how rumors get started.
It's a fact. Y'all all just witnessed it.
I remember you.
Yeah. Really? Okay, tell me about it.
Really? You had the shoes on.
See? All right, well, tell everybody about yourself.
Well, I remember your energy was amazing. Just like right now. Yeah. Season 3, let's get around the
I know.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about, Black Girl Magic.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm Reese. I'm a Cancer. I like strawberry ice cream. No, I was just playing.
Strawberry ice cream for real?
It's dope. Since I was a kid.
I've never had a man admit to that.
That like strawberry ice cream?
Well, you are light skinned, so you know that's a whole. Light skinned men is a whole different type of experience.
Colorism is a problem we have in America
I'm just saying.
I'm just playing.
I mean, Prince, he led the way with that. With the heels and then the butt out.
Prince was the ultimate level of light skin.
Yeah, he was.
I am light, but I have dark skin tendencies.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Well, tell us about it. I mean, I know you're on the air.
Like I said, I pray and I curse.
You pray and you curse? There's a
balance. Now, I'm on air. I'm on air personality. I have a really dope team. Shout out to the team.
Okay.
I'm also a father, family person.
Ooh, bless those children.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They off the chain. And then I also have some hobbies that we can talk about later, too. You know what I mean?
Okay, what hobbies?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just tell us one.
One
hobby.
I like to race. I'm a chicken wrangler. Yeah, it sounds crazy.
That's so left field.
Right.
I see.
You weren't ready.
I wasn't ready. I was not ready for that. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? I'm an urban egg farmer, and also I have a nonprofit organization with my family called Positive America Youth. So we service probably about 100,000 pounds of food every month to people in need. We got a literacy program, and the list goes on.
Wow! So you actually have depth. Like, that's what's up. I would have never thought that. This is cool. Like, we all have nonprofits. This is cool. Do you have a nonprofit too, Terry?
Yes, I do.
All right, so tell us about that too.
So I'm an advocate around autism. My 15-year-old is autistic, so I've had a nonprofit for about 10 years. I've worked with 43 countries and built centers in 2 cities in Africa.
Wow.
I'm a serial entrepreneur, a philanthropist in other areas outside of autism, and I definitely believe in investing in people of color, our folks' businesses.
So, wow, y'all are somebody. Sheesh. I can get my stuff together. Okay. I'm in the nonprofit sector too, and I also advocate for literacy. But kind of what I was telling you guys about Black Writers Weekend, I think that it's phenomenal that we're able to create our own stories now. We're also able to build our own legacies and, build generational wealth. Mm-hmm. So let's get into the topic and all that jazz for tonight.
Let's go.
One thing about it is I love love. I come from the book space. I write about romance and relationship dynamics. And I always used to make my female characters very dominant sometimes in my stories. I didn't like for us to be portrayed as weak, or we always had to just receive what was being given to us. Or if a man say, hey, I want you, and we're supposed to be like, okay. okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that. So what stood out to me, I know you guys, have you recently seen what's going on social media behind Megan Good, Danny Lee, Kanye West, and Kim Kardashian? There's a lot of toxicity that's going on that's being displayed. And I really want to kind of talk about that because I feel there's a disconnect between men and women when it comes to being accountable for what happens in that relationship, whether it's successful or not. There's a lot of negativity that's being shown, and I don't want that to kind of be normalized, where like you can break up and it can be healthy and you can be friends and you guys can kind of move on. So Terry, I'm gonna jump to you first. Megan Good, right? All right, so this is my opinion behind this. So, and I call this the Megan Good ending.
I might need to sit back for this.
All right, because we have been, come on a little closer to make sure you in the frame.
Come on, Reese.
There we go.
Right, like let's get closer together.
Cousins now.
Yeah.
The CDC said as long as we on the green couch, we good.
Right. Oh, right. So
I heard that
no
too.
infections over here. We all, I'm fully
We're
vaccinated and stuff.
Yeah.
So Megan Good, you know, she's an actress, and then we've kind of seen her be a child star, kind of, you know, grow up in front of us. And she married a pastor, and we began to see her transition into being, you know, more of a first lady. She kind of calmed down, you know, a lot. And I have seen a lot of women in my lifetime, where they have shielded who they truly are. They have put some of the things they wanted on the back burner for, you know, the man they choose to, you know, build their life with. And then ultimately, the ending of that, I feel, is not going to be genuine in a sense where you're going to have this longevity and you guys are going to flourish and grow together because you're not being your authentic self. That is my opinion. So I wanted to ask Terry and LaQuanda. I gotta keep saying it like that. I love how you say that. I have to ask you ladies, especially because we are the women in the Reese. We're gonna jump to you last.
He's a gentleman.
Right. He doesn't mind. He doesn't mind.
And Devin's like,
Yeah. So I know you ladies have been in a position before where you have hold your tongue or you opted out of doing certain things so for the betterment of the relationship or the family. So I want to go into a little bit into your experience. If you've been married before, if you are married, some things that you have to sacrifice, and what would be your advice, you know, for women that are going that Megan Good route? Yeah.
do we have enough time in this?
No, right?
So it's interesting that you started with me. One, I was married early on in my life, and I had started a family, and would eventually, after 16 years, end up in a divorce and also remarry. In that process, I learned a lot about me, recognizing that oftentimes we don't really, especially in Black households, I feel like we don't really talk about relationships and love. It's seen and displayed, but it's not really taught and communicated, right? In a way that I think is effective, and we leave the home and understand how to apply that. I also believe, because of a lot of experiences, and I'll just speak for myself, right? Without going through how I was raised and all of that, but the bottom line is I recognized in my brokenness, I said I do. And so I wasn't fully whole. And what I thought a wife should be and how a wife should respond and how a person should handle something, including putting my voice on the back burner, right, might have been the way that I approached things. And then eventually over time, you know, when you're young and you get married, maybe a man opening the door wasn't a big deal. But then once you evolve and become a woman and understand what you really value and appreciate in life, maybe now opening the door is a big deal, right? And so the bottom line is that ultimately in the end, I just feel like, since we're just speaking on Megan Good, Megan, no disrespect. We done seen you on the red carpet. We got you. I understand. Pastor Franklin, no disrespect. But I do believe what ends up happening is that we don't approach people oftentimes with our authentic self. When we approach relationships, oftentimes we are shaping ourselves into who our partner wants us to be or who people want us to be. And eventually we can just know, we get to the point where we explode, right? Something comes out of us. We're going to manifest our behaviors in one way or another. And I think that it's extremely important because if we don't start dealing with this early on, we're going to have a lot of these situations that happen. And it should be no surprise just because he's a pastor, right?
Right.
You know, that's a whole nother situation. Doesn't mean that also in their relationship, they can have trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
and I
true.
think that also makes it harder because now there's this image in a sense that people have to keep up with. We love the Lord. We're in this relationship. We have to make it work when two people potentially are very toxic for one another.
Yep.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that was. I love how you broke that down. All right, Miss LaQuanda, take us into your experience.
Here we go.
All right.
Here
Drum
we
roll.
go. Right. So I was married for 19 years. I got married when I was 22. Well, actually, my book, I got a tattoo on my arm here. You can't see it out there, but I'll show you later. Is I Do To Me. That's my
Okay,
book,
yeah.
my
Okay, I was talking about this with my producer earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I got married when I was 22 years old, and I just recently got divorced last year. I was married for 19 years. And when I did get married, I understood this later. My mom just passed away, and when I got married for stability. And it was not because I knew who I was. It wasn't even because of love, really.
Yeah. In my head walking around pitching the tent. Like,
I think I'm next to you, so it's kind of it's kind of coming off. So and we were young, and I did not have the opportunity to get to know who LaQuanda was. I did not. And then it's so crazy. We talked about this earlier a little bit, how I went into marriage with a societal view on what marriage should be and what a man looked like and what I was supposed to look like. I had no idea. And I think society has done a good job of spoon feeding us what the male and woman are supposed to look like in relationships.
Yep.
And that has evolved over time into something that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I did not have the opportunity to really get to know who I was and who a woman is outside of a societal view, or how a man is supposed to be. Because like I grew up, my grandpa, which my former husband, he was like my grandpa. They took care of the bills. They were, they talked straight. No love, it was just straight shooting, as long as I pay the bills, that's okay. But that is what society says.
Yeah.
And so anything that wasn't like that, if somebody was too nice, I'm like, wait a minute, is he gay? Because he ain't talking hard. Like, you know what I mean? He not talking hard.
Right.
I thought, I'm like, I like my relationships borderline abusive.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way
You gotta love and hug on the wall. Like, does not know how to express his emotions.
Right.
Girl, yeah.
And so as I got older, and even after the divorce, I'm like, well, darn it. This whole time I was saying this is divorce, it's his fault. I was like, wait a minute. It wasn't all his fault.
That part. Accountability.
I'm like, we didn't know no better. Society did us in.
Yeah.
They made us, they fed, we drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I don't even know who I am right now.
You thought you liked the flavor.
Come on, but that's a part of my experience.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like how you said, hey, it wasn't all him. Because I got married young as well. I was 18 when I got married. I was 16 when I became a mother. And I began to realize that I don't really like you. Now, I love and care for you, but as far as like really wanting to be with you, like I don't have passion here. I don't have like a likeness for you. Like he was getting on my nerves. Like I didn't. So from a guy's perspective, right?
Don't go right from he was getting on my nerves.
Because when I said that, like, ooh, Reese, nerves. Like, it was connecting.
Right.
Okay, so this is I really would love your point of view. Because men are supposed to be one that chooses the wife. And we're supposed to be like, oh, he chose me. Yay, let me go with you.
I don't think that's true, though.
Really?
Absolutely not.
Okay, tell us your point of view.
Women hold the power in a relationship. You know why? Like, think about it. If men could drive a cardboard box, right? And women like cardboard boxes, that's what we would drive. You guys drive the market. So we have nothing to do with that. We now, as men, I think for the first time in a long time, that we are valuing solid relationships, monogamous and stable relationships, right? Especially within our urban culture, right? I think so. This is the first time men have, because we like the streets don't love us. This is my own opinion, right? It's a loaded opinion, but it's my opinion.
Okay.
Unpack it.
Right?
Yes,
so
unpack.
I feel like there we go. Let me get my luggage. So,
Because I'm still stuck on the men want monogamous relationships.
I'm gonna explain that. I'm gonna explain that.
They want loyalty.
I think we
well,
want
they
loyalty.
usually have a turn.
We want loyalty,
Yeah.
right? So this is the issue. Men on the surface think that if I'm faithful, right, the relationship should be perfect. Right? This, you go into it. This is as a man. You think if I'm faithful, the relationship. See, they nodding back there. I hear them. They're like, "Thanks, brother." It was like if a lot of men around our age, right? They think if I am faithful, the relationship should be perfect. So you walk into the relationship with those, and our first initial thing is, okay, I'm gonna be loyal and be faithful to this young lady. I'm not speaking for all men at all. I'm talking about men. I'm not talking about boys trying to pretend.
Right, because there's a difference.
Right? It's
Okay.
definitely different, right? So you gotta know yourself, right? And it's not an age thing; it's an experience and what you want. So you walk into it. Okay, cool. I'm gonna be faithful. I am faithful, and she is complaining. I am faithful, and she is unappreciative. I am faithful, and I don't see all the motherly qualities that I thought I should see. And now it's under more of a microscope because you got social media, you got all these city girls driving the market down.
I know.
And then you also got no offense to them. I'm just
I
saying
mean,
you got
yeah,
women
no.
that value certain things that men don't like, right?
Right.
So then you also have you have a plethora of females, right? That also think that if they're in a relationship, a man should kiss their feet, right? Without the work, the groundwork. Without the groundwork, right?
Okay.
The groundwork.
The groundwork is a reciprocation of love, loyalty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Men want to be
Right.
wined and dined, and
Yeah. We're
they-
not-
Almost as
and
much
then-
as women.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
that's
men are getting mistaken for, we're not naturally emotional, and this is probably going to raise my
Right.
brow. We're not naturally emotional, but we can be naturally sensitive. Right? Let me-
Yeah,
let
y'all
me
definitely are
explain.
sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah, we get our feelings hurt fast.
Yes.
But the logic is supposed to kick in and we're supposed to get through that. Right?
Right.
That's what's supposed to happen.
That's what's supposed to happen. It doesn't always go that route.
Right. So this is the things that are working against relationships. So we come into it cool. I'm gonna be faithful, and then she's doing all these things. You know what? I'm out mentally. I'm out. I'm gonna go find something else. But we still inside this relationship. You dig what I'm saying? So now we looking for any imperfection. We find that perfection in somebody else and ignore the rest of the imperfections. So now we juggling. And now I don't want to hurt your feelings because I'm vested and I'm loyal, but I'm unfaithful. You feel what I'm saying? But
So
I don't
that's
want to
where
hurt
it
your
started?
feelings. I don't want to hurt your feelings. So I don't want to be like, it's over with. We don't understand we destroying y'all. It's better to rip off the Band-Aid.
That's
It
right.
is.
It really is.
It is.
No, it
Yeah.
really is.
We're sensitive. So we put our
And selfish.
sensitivity on y'all.
And selfish. Y'all don't
Absolutely.
rip that Band-Aid off because you don't want nobody else to have us.
No,
I've
I'm
never-
sorry.
I
Wait.
agree.
I agree. Nobody wants nobody playing with their toys, right?
Okay.
And
I
that's
like
what
how
I'm
you say
saying.
it.
You turn into that. Oh no, don't touch that. I know it's something good there. I don't want. And then we also take a selfish stance on what we have done to help that woman grow, because it does happen. Women train us.
Yes.
Yes. Y'all smarter than us.
Yes.
My 5-year-old daughter is smarter than me. She tricks me all the time. Right? I see it. It's innate. It's already in y'all, right? But you train us, right? But we lead you certain ways, right? So we feel like some of your accomplishments are because of us. It's selfish. And I
Okay.
think sometimes it is. Because you guys pick up some of our traits. You've been with a dude, now you like the music he like. You've been with a dude, you start
Okay.
using his slang. You start laughing at his types of jokes with other people, right? And you
Okay.
don't notice you do that. Y'all don't notice y'all do that until one day somebody point out that you laugh about it. You like, "Great, crazy, right?" And then, but that's what happens. But you do other things too. And
I think that's on both
yeah.
sides because I have been with men who were not fully developed or fully evolved.
Yeah.
And sometimes they do need guidance, to kind of step into their true self or
Right.
discover their purpose. I think in a relationship, you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to pour into each other, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
be better than where you are when you got together.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And for me, in my relationship, I wasn't receiving that. I was basically carrying the load of everything. I talk about this in season 2. My marriage is pretty unique. So it ultimately, when I was married, my husband at the time was convicted of sexually assaulting another woman. I, being loyal, also the caretaker, mothering, and all that jazz. We had children together. I covered this man, protected this man, made sure that he was all right financially, gave him a place where he can lay his head. Because I got you. I've known you since we were children. That's what you're supposed to do. But at some point, when you're giving and giving and giving, and people begin to be like, you're supposed to do this for me.
Right.
You're supposed to make sure I'm straight. You're supposed to make sure I'm good. There comes this point in time where people have these expectations.
That's right.
And they feel like that you're supposed to, or you're obligated to do these things for them. And so this is where I begin to exit stage left, because I'm not growing in this dynamic. And so taking it kind of back to Megan and Pastor. I saw this from the outside. So I could just imagine what was going on in the home, because you can kind of see Megan with the roles that she was taking, how she would speak and things like that. Her growth and her shine was a little bit dimmed and stifled, while Pastor was on his tour, releasing his books. And now he got these, like, he's flourishing and all this jazz. I'm like, I don't really kind of see that dynamic kind of working. And then you have these other type of relationships. And I like to throw out like the Danny Lee and the baby. I think he's a horrible example of a man. I just think that he's just, he just has the parts. That's what classifies him as a man. But I have also been in a dynamic, and I want to also ask you guys' opinion about this. I don't know if you guys saw when Danny Lee, who is a singer, and the baby, who is a rapper, they were going through some type of dispute. And him being the type of gentleman he is, decides to put her on live to embarrass her and share with the world that he's kicking her and their child out of his home. It was almost like, and I recently had this done to me, where someone's kind of like poking at you. I'm going to get on your nerves. I'm going to, attack you mentally and physically and all that. And then I want you to react. And then when you react, see, I told y'all she was crazy. See, I told y'all she was the problem, because I'm reacting, responding to how you're treating me. Now I'm the problem. Now I'm, the issue in this dynamic. Have you guys ever experienced that? And Reese, I hope you have not been the person that has done something like that. But you've been on that. Okay, because I've seen women do that too. Yeah. So can you guys shed some light on your experience with an emotional abuser?
I just want to offer I'm going to be the Kevin Samuels.
Not Kevin.
I am. Because I have a couple different theories that I like to toss around. One about the Megan Good, and then I'm going to jump into the Danny Lee. Okay. So the Megan Good, I read an interesting article today. I have it on my phone, but I didn't bring my phone over here. Where it said when she met him, she was breaking up with somebody else. She was in the middle of a heartbreak when she met him. And when she saw him on set, she said, that's the kind of man I want to be with. Which led me to believe that he was the opposite of what she
probably had a baby.
Right. She probably had a baby, and she wanted the pastor.
Yeah.
And when she got with the pastor, no shade, Megan, it was just too calm for her.
Yeah.
It wasn't what she was. It wasn't her. It wasn't her. It was right. And it was like, to me, she wanted chaos. And it was like, a lot of times, and I call this is my own personal thing, I call it extremes, when people play extremes. I'm this way, but when something happens, I'm going to go all the way to the opposite side and be extreme. But that's not who you are. But this is what I'm doing to adjust to my pain.
Yeah.
Right.
And to me, she picked him up to adjust to her pain. And it wasn't her. And I feel like she wasn't flourishing in a sense, because she was just making an adjustment.
Yeah.
And this is who this man was. Honey, that was you over there with your fake baby. That's not really him. And you tried to do something completely different because you were hurting. And you did not take the time to really examine and to dig to who you are, so that you can understand what you really want.
Yep.
And that's what it looked like to me, based upon what I had read and all of this, that, and the third. That was my opinion on it. And so to get into this Danny Lee thing, ladies hate me later, but I said I'm gonna be Kevin Samuels. I'll take it. But ma'am, you know what you're getting into. I feel like you gotta take ownership for your choices. Right. And no shade, I'm not saying he's justified for anything that he's done at all. But if you're over there glorifying being somebody's number 1 or 2 or number 3, man, what did you sign up for?
Yep.
You signed up for this kind of behavior,
Yeah.
and you signed up for it, and you expected something different. And to me, when they say you insane if you keep doing the same thing and expecting something else.
Yeah.
So I mean, no, not saying that it was wrong for anybody to put their kid out or whatever the case may be. But at some point, and this is what I had to do in my relationship, which is why I could speak so adamantly about it. You have to take ownership for your decisions.
Yep.
For the decisions that you make.
For
and
sure.
you can't.
Yeah.
That's
But
me. I'm sorry.
I feel-
Crucify me later. I'm sorry.
Nah,
I'm
I
sorry.
agree.
No, it's no. For me, I think too the issue is we're seeing too much of this, right?
Right.
So whether you use Megan Good situation, Kim and Kanye, Danny Lay and DaBaby, it doesn't matter whose situation you're using. In my mind, we have a lot of broken people. Right?
Yeah.
We are so lost when it comes to what is a real relationship, what does real love, and metaverse ain't about to help us because everybody gonna be dating through some Oculus thing.
Right.
But I'm challenged by the fact that these situations, in a sense, are not being checked. These people need to be pulled out because they're now raising a generation of children that are going to have this same kind of behavior, reflect the same type of thing in their own relationship if somebody doesn't grab a hold and help them. And I think the bottom line is that we are over glorifying negativity in relationships. Like it's cool now. You barely divorced. And listen, I have no judgment. But Kim just moved on from Kanye and already on with somebody else. And I mean, they switch people. It's like Burger King, have it your way. You know what I mean? We're not taking time, in a sense, to heal. You know what I mean? We're not taking time to reflect what happened in that relationship. How did I add something to it? What did I need to take away? What differences can I make moving forward? And I'm just gonna hop from person to her person. And even for the people who are seen, like you're okay with your kids just watching you float from one dude to the next. Like I have a problem with all of it. And it's upsetting to me because our black children are being exposed to these things. I know some of the mamas is white and Armenian and whatever else, but they are black children that are being exposed in a way that they shouldn't. And we can't even worry about education because they first educated in their own home.
Exactly.
Right.
They're not even anywhere else. They're right there in their own home. The communication that they're seeing happen, the disrespect that they're seeing that's happening, those types of things are already planting seeds into these kids before they even walk out into the world. And I'm troubled by that because somebody has to say enough is enough.
It's broken people having children.
Broken people having children. And that it's not going to change until people change. And then when we stop giving it the attention, right? Like it's not okay. And I'm not saying we need to shame people, but what I'm saying is that we need to say, all these views that some creative genius is going to turn this into a marketing story and make a ton of money. But at the hands of a kid that is exposed to something that can forever change the trajectory of their life.
Exactly. Exactly.
I would say that it's you hit some key points I actually wanted to tap in on, because can we name 5 white couples that have had these problems in social media in the mainstream? Can you name them? Can you name 5?
No.
Can you name 5?
Not
No.
one. I can't. And Reese Witherspoon done broke up, and Jennifer Garner
Yeah, we
broke
know
up with
you, but
Ben
we don't
Affleck.
never
You don't
see
see
that.
none of that.
None of that.
No.
And these
You
men
have to
never
really
are
think
trying
about
to demonize these women either.
No,
They just.
I think it's deeper than that.
What is it?
So
Let's
I'm
break it
saying,
down.
I can name 5 black couples off that, or somebody of color that's been in a relationship that failed, right? I can't name 5 white, because we just now hearing about Nancy Reagan's indiscretions 80 years later. You see what I'm saying?
And her husband is dead.
She did.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is,
Oh, is she?
Is she on?
I'm just saying we just got
I think she gone. I think she gone.
her legend lives on.
Yeah,
apparently.
Edit that
God
out.
bless you, Reagan.
But I'm just saying it's tough. We're in a crazy situation. First of all, none of us know what's going on behind closed doors.
We
right?
don't.
Like we're just speculating just like everybody else. And it's a
right.
great topic because we need to have these opinions because it's kind of a way of therapy, right? It's therapeutic a little bit, right? But at the same time, it's like we don't know really what's going on.
No.
We see Megan Good, we saw her in videos, and we had an idea of who she was. But maybe her trajectory she wanted to do cleaner roles. Maybe she wanted to be looked at in a different light. Maybe she utilized that situation to get there. We don't know that.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or maybe he said, I can show that I could take this girl looked in a certain way, and I could, hey, you can't wear that, you can't do this. Maybe he said that you in the light of a pastor. We don't really know.
We don't really know.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't know.
The Danny Lee situation. We don't know what she was doing before he made the call. We don't know what she said.
We don't know.
I hate police brutality. But sometimes stuff is happening before the camera going in. You see what I'm saying? Like, come on now. So it's hard.
Or he could have did something. Now she's reacting, and then let me capture. But we do
We
not know.
don't know.
We don't know.
You're right.
But to me, I've been in a situation where a woman literally went 0 to 1, did a 180 on me, and I'm being cool. And I've always had this in my head since I was young, which has kept me out of a lot of trouble. You cannot win in a fight with a woman physically. You cannot win.
Yeah.
There's no win. You hit. It's no win. So I'll never put my hands on a woman. And I had a female swing on me, and then call the police. And I didn't hit her. I didn't even block the punch. She hit me and was like, "I'm calling the police." What do you do?
Folks,
You know what I'm saying? Like, so,
yep, these things happen.
so sometimes celebrities have to use social media to protect them.
That's true.
That's how Kanye got to his daughter's birthday party.
Listen, that's what I'm telling you. So imagine all the men that can't use that.
All right. Okay. So I know we're about to wind down, but Kanye. Let me jump on Kanye just a little bit because we see Kanye be, his emotions is all over the place. He openly talks about his mental illness and things like that. We saw him uproot himself and move to Wyoming of all states. And his family's in California.
Right.
We also saw him date and other women. He's living across the pond. We saw him do all these things when he's running for president. He publicly talked about his family and his wife. Like, we saw him do a lot of different things. And we didn't see Kim say and do nothing. Right. I have personally experienced this type of bullying. I feel that Kanye did when it came to him wanting his family back, in a sense where in that marriage or in that relationship, he did something wrong or he hurt my feelings, and I chose to not forgive or I chose to move on. And then when he was wanting to get back or he was ready to kind of come back into the family, he would then kind of lean on publicly talking about, hey, I want my family back. Hey, I'm a good guy. Hey, let me come back home. And who is going to hear what he's saying? Our children.
That's right.
And so if you hear daddy saying, I want to come back home.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think these children are going to be saying to mama?
Your mama is not letting
home.
Exactly. And so when mama say, no, I don't want daddy to come, what do you think these children are going to be like? Well, daddy said he want to come back home and you're not letting him.
Right.
I dealt with that for years.
Right.
Because again, in my situation with my ex-husband, I didn't tell my children what happened. Because they're young. They're not going to understand anyway. They just love daddy and they just want daddy to come home.
Right.
And in the midst of that, of me not saying anything, I basically kind of took the blame of the broken family, just so my children could be happy.
Right.
But in a sense of that, daddy want to come back home and mama's not letting them. I became the enemy in my own home.
Right.
Wow.
My children did a lot of things sometimes to show me that they were upset with me. And it sucks. And so I would ask me, my ex-husband, hey, can you stop saying these things? Can you stop doing, because it's upsetting the children.
It's manipulative.
Right,
it's quite manipulative.
That's probably the reaction he wanted though.
Exactly.
But that's when you gotta say is all right, let's go to family therapy. My ex and the kids. I'm not saying
it takes accountability though. It takes somebody saying,
but
you know what, I did
saying.
wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It takes that first, not you trying to manipulate your way back into the family.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That exposes the person that's not doing right. Because if I say, okay, cool, look, let's go to therapy, and we all go to therapy, and I'm talking to kids talking, and then you having this conversation, but he's not going to show up to that.
Yeah.
Because then he's going to get exposed.
I've tried that as well.
Right.
And I like LaQuanda, when you were saying you took accountability in what you did wrong, I've done that part. And I think that it takes two healthy, happy, mature individuals to have these conversations, because children's happiness is what we're talking about. That's the focus. That's
right.
all I'm focused on is my babies and them being okay. But we do have people that are broken.
That's right.
That are going through whatever the case may be. They're being selfish, they're manipulative, and they're not being honest. How do we start to break that barrier, break those walls down with men and women? It don't matter who messed up in the relationship.
It doesn't matter.
It don't matter the fact that, I don't want you no more and you upset. That does not matter. What we can agree on is that neither one of us are on the same page.
Right.
But can we get on the same page when it comes to the children?
Right.
And can we not publicly talk about what went wrong or what's going on between you and I to where the children can hear these things? How do we get to that point?
Well, again, for me, I think it takes, in a sense, that people need to be healed. I can take it all the way spiritual, because in my mind, the thing about our engagement and relationships is all wrong, and we get together with the wrong people. So we're taking two people who are already broken, right? Who've created a situation. And when things, whatever it is, arguments, you decide you're going to get a divorce or things escalate, you're using those same two broken people that came together who are going to attempt to fix something, right? So I think we don't do enough talking in the Black community in general about getting help that we need, right? That to me is, first of all, we're supposed to go get a checkup just to get a checkup, right? And we're supposed, as women, we're supposed to go to OBGYN once a year. Men eventually are supposed to get mammogram, prostate. You have all that, but nobody thinks about a mental checkup. We don't have those kind of conversations, because the moment that we go to therapy, something's wrong with us, right? But maybe you just need a checkup, right? Maybe you don't even realize subconsciously there's some things that have happened in your life, and although you think that you're healed, you've dealt, but you haven't healed from the situation. So I really feel like we right now, as a Black community, have to be able to start embracing relationships. And for people like you and I and LaQuanda, who have gone through experiences where we've been married and divorced, pouring into these young women, right? Like we've never done before. And with all due respect, I'm saved. I know the Lord Jesus Christ is my personal Savior, but I'll tell you, the church has not been a help to marriages, period. In my mind, they have set up, in a lot of ways, people not to succeed in marriage, right? We teach women to stay in things that are toxic or unhealthy because the Lord, what has He put together? No, they put them together, and it ain't even in the Bible, right? These two toxic people came together, and y'all bless that union, and you want them to stay in that situation. Y'all crazy as hell. So the thing about it is that for me, I think it's a different situation that we have to start looking right now and having these kind of conversations, healing and coming together and making a difference.
For me, I feel like sometimes people go into a relationship both looking for a hero or an escape. And I think that when we do that, I think one of the things that we have to do is know who we are. Not saying be perfect. I'm not saying, because a lot of people say, oh, you got to be healed before you do this. I'm in a relationship now. I would have never known the things about me if I wasn't in that relationship now.
I get what you're saying.
Because, and a lot of times people say, no, you got to wait. You're not. But if you are open, I think we mistake healing for being open and being aware of what's going on inside of you. Because it was some things that my person says now that my ex said, and I didn't get it. But now I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That is me. But saying all that to say, I think we have to develop stronger relationships with ourselves. Because if we understand stronger relationships with ourselves, we won't enter relationships as a response to what's going on inside of us. We would make clear, because it doesn't matter to me how long it takes. If you get married in 2 weeks, if you know who you are and you know exactly what you need and what you're looking for, if 2 weeks, that's it. But then that could work. But if your 2 weeks, you're just responding to pain, that ain't gonna work. So I'm sorry. So I think if we go in making better choices and understanding who we are and really getting to understand what that person is, if that person can meet those internal needs, not those, does he have a house? Does he have a car? But can he love me? Does he love my heart? Can he handle my pain?
Can
he handle that I just lost my mom, my dad, my grandma? Can he hold the weight of my emotions?
And vice versa.
Can we do those things? It's not about, we start at the money. We start at what he got, what she got, what kind of shape she got, what kind of bank, you know what I mean? All those different kinds of things. And we it don't even matter. We're not even looking at the things that really make us up as human beings. No. And I think we need to start there and then try to enter into something else that makes sense.
Being purposely single.
Yeah.
I love that. Is that your new book?
Hey, that's my new, y'all. That's my new. I like that. Purposely single. Don't take that.
Trademark.
That's me.
Some people purposely single when they're in a relationship though too.
Ooh.
Well, let me move my
Not like that. But on a serious note, all of that, what you were saying, is very valid. But too, you still have to cover your surface wants. Because there's somebody that you like and they do everything right, but they're going to get on your nerves. And if they're not attractive to you when they get on your nerves, they going to really get on your nerves.
Ooh, ain't that the truth?
You, like,
I
know me. But that's being self-aware. I know me. Like, I can't. When my wife would get on my nerves, I'd be like, ooh, at least you fine. I'm just telling you, because I'm not. Look, listen, I tried it before. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to enter into a relationship and just get with somebody I don't really find attractive. So I could just get to the actual nuts and bolts of the relationship. Yeah. And when she got on my nerves, I was like, bro, you ain't even all that. You be talking to me crazy.
Now she ain't all that.
No, she really wasn't then. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, I know me. Yeah. You have to know yourself.
Right.
I know me.
Right.
Like, so I'm like, if we get into an argument, I know me. So I got to be like, oh, she bad though. Cool. You got that.
You know, y'all, this has been a great conversation. I love the fact that you guys brought so many different perspectives. Reese, you were excellent. Tara, love you. I love your responses. LaQuanda, I am so grateful for you coming, and I loved your story, and I like how we kind of connecting, and you was in my head, walking around. But I wanted to kind of leave this with you guys, and I want you guys to also tell everybody where they can check you out. At the end of the day, if you don't get anything that we said, remember to love on yourself first. Discover how you need to be loved. Discover how it is that you like to show love. And then be purposely single for a little bit. I've been doing that now majority all my 30s. Just being single, dating, getting to know myself, figuring things out for myself. But just make sure that you're a whole, healed individual. And do your mental check-ins. You know, like mental health, I advocate for that. Make sure that you properly grieve. Pain is inevitable. Things are going to happen in life. So make sure that you allow yourself to feel those things fully. Cry it out. Feel that pain. Recognize it, own it, and then begin to kind of live through that. But do not ignore that pain. So you guys, let everybody know where they can, find you guys and check you out online and stuff.
Well, you can check me out on Instagram at Terry, Terri. Nothing else.
I know that's right. How you get that, Terry?
How you know you popping?
Exactly.
5-letter IG name? Okay, she know Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. No problem. Thank you. Such a gentleman.
I know, gentle guy.
That's why he marries Terry.
Right, exactly.
I know.
This week.
That's another topic. Right. Married this week.
Right. So you can reach me on Instagram at I do to me, the number 2, IDO2ME.
I like that.
You can find me on Instagram at REECSWINEY. Reese Sweeney. I had to put my last name because I ain't popping like other folks. But Reese Sweeney on Instagram, and make sure you follow our nonprofit, Pay USA, the #1 Positive American Youth.
Yes, and I am going to share information about everyone's nonprofit on our YouTube channel, our Instagram channel, and also make sure you follow us on Twitter at Traces of Mika. That's MIKA. Season 1 and 2 is already streaming on YouTube and all podcast platforms. And we are also shooting a documentary called Traces of Mika, a visual memoir that will release later on in 2022. So make sure that you follow me on social media at Tamika Newhouse on everything. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. This was great. Peace.